It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name is Keren.
My name is Itai and we are back.
We sure are. Welcome back everyone. We've missed you.
We've been in nature for a few days.
Yep. I've been out of reception, pulling hair out of my head, just craving Wi-Fi and connectivity and Netflix. It's really hard.
We were at as we spoke about last episode, we went to a festival called Confest. And it's very hippie, and everyone's like a lot of people trying to connect to nature and to a true self. And one thing that I like to do every now and then is when there's like a second of silence in the festival to go, wow, guys, you know what would be amazing right now? And everyone thinks it's going to be like, I don't know, if we align our chakras or like a massage train or stuff like that. And then I go, Instagram. Or reception.
I think there was a couple of occasions during this festival where I grabbed you by the ear and I whispered, not sweet nothings. I just said, I miss my phone.
Oh my God, I miss
Instagram.
I miss my phone so much.
It was so taboo. Like, it was not a safe place to disclose.
No
seeking
safety.
the internet, like, that was hard, and I really had to keep that internal.
But at least we had each other to kind of share that need and want.
Well, did we have each other? I think there was a lot of other things going on at this festival, which I'm sure we'll delve into deeply and explicitly in a second. But Itai, please, for the listeners, we need a brief update about hashtag Free Britney.
Yeah.
There have been some very disturbing and odd Instagram updates from her account.
Yeah.
And I know that the whole Britney community is going bonkers and is very
shaking.
concerned for her well-being. I am also very concerned for her well-being as an outsider.
Everyone is. So we're going to give a brief update because we've been covering this story since day one.
Yeah.
Not knowing even. I didn't know that it's going to like evolve into this whole saga.
For me, it feels like WikiLeaks. It's the same.
Yeah.
Like, we've been in the trenches from the very beginning, and really quite deeply involved.
Yeah, and the other day they held a physical protest in LA with hashtag Free Britney, and obviously I couldn't make it in time, being like, in Melbourne, but yeah, so hashtag Free Britney, it really spiraled and people started sending death threats to like Britney's family and her management, and no one really knows what's happening still, but Britney since posted 2 Instagram posts. In one, she's saying that she's just taking some time off and she's anxious, and it really looks like someone is holding a gun from behind the camera and forcing her to say that.
It's horrifying. It's really, I don't know if her hand is being forced.
Yeah, but I don't know. But then the caption, she wrote really like this detailed, all these emails that you've been reading were forged by my manager and like, it's not real. Again, a lot of people say it feels fake. A lot of people say the caption is fake. But to be honest, I think Britney doesn't like being the center of attention, even though it's crazy. She's one of the biggest pop stars. She's a Sagittarius, but she has an Aquarius moon. I know once I said she has a Libra moon. I was wrong. She has an Aquarius moon. She obviously needs that space, as she says on the beginning of Overprotected song. I need time, love, space. I need me. So, what's happening right now? Roller coaster. No one knows. What we do know is that there's 2 new hearings about her conservatorship. So there is development. We will be here to serve you the hot tea. If you go onto her Instagram, you can watch the video, and then a second video she posted of her doing workouts, and she wrote, "Who knew stress and anxiety can make you lose 5 pounds? Yay me."
It's so disturbing. But that's why I thought, surely this can't be faked, because it's very characteristic of Britney's Instagram presence to post a video of her working out and then sexually dancing in front of... I mean, is it sexually dancing or is it just dancing? Did I just gender shame her? I don't know. But her dancing and talking about having lost weight as a result of her stress situation. Like, she's really putting a positive spin. And if we know anything about Sagittarians, it is that they are relentlessly optimistic. So she very well could be held against her, will by her father or her manager, but she's really putting a positive spin. She's lost 5 pounds as a result of the stress, which in her minds is a really positive outcome of her being controlled by all the men in her life. So I hope she's well. If you're very easily scared or disturbed, probably don't watch the Instagram posts because, and as I've said, me and Itai are deep in the trenches of this news story. So just let us roll with it. We'll keep you up to date next week about Britney's well-being and we'll see how we go. But I'm praying for her, and I've been commenting a lot on her Instagram posts just on the odd chance that she might read it. And I've been writing like...
What did you write?
I wrote, I really hope that you get the space and support that you need, or the space and love that you need, XX.
That's so nice.
And we're here I said we love you, Britney, and we're here from you, and hope you get the space you need. Because I wanted to be like, I love you and I care about you, even though I don't know anything about you.
You know a lot.
I do know a lot, but I see the impact that she has on so many people's lives. I see that she is your inspiration, your best friend, the sister you never had, the mother you never had, all of those
Gail
things.
Is to Oprah.
Exactly. She's your Gail, and, you've been deeply impacted by her conservatorship as much as she has. So
Definitely.
I guess I'm also speaking on your behalf too.
And she's very Sag in the way that even all these videos now are surfacing again of her documentary, and when she speaks about her car and she says, and Sagittarius are known to be like the travelers, the learners, the horse, the half man, half horse. And she says, I just want to be able to take my car. For me, my car represents freedom. I just want to be able to get into my car and just drive somewhere without even a destination. And it's so Sag. She really, I think,
she's trapped. But I feel like when she is dancing or doing catwalks for Instagram in her house, because she's not really allowed out of her house unless it's to make money in Vegas for her dad.
Yeah.
But when she's dancing, there is this odd but beautiful taste of freedom. There's something about it that's like a big fuck you to everyone. It's I am free in my body at the very least. So I guess we can all take that. So if you're trapped somewhere against your will and you being controlled by
dance
people,
it away.
Well, dance it away, but look to Britney for some inspiration of light in a very dark place.
Yes. And light in a very dark place, what a great segue to Confess, the festival that we went to.
Yeah, so I think we can start from the beginning. So I'm sure if anyone follows me or you on Instagram, they are probably sick to death of the 60 million Instagram videos that we posted of us at a #Indian-Italian wedding. I know that me, you, and Storytime with Laurie Time, our dear friend Lauren, were very privileged and joyful to be included in our lovely Cancerian friend's wedding. We also performed some music for the wedding, so it was very exciting, and there was some Bhangra Bollywood dancing at the end. But look, partying, late night, Libra full moon, and then next day, 6 a.m, meant to be up, going to a hippie festival, which has been quite a traumatic, painful festival most years that I've gone, and I've gone many, many years. So I obviously slept through my multiple alarms. I usually have at least 2 on the go, and I just remember waking up to hear your little raspy voice be like, Keren, they're outside, we need to go. And I screamed. I wailed from the depths of my soul, and I screamed, I don't want to go.
I don't want to go to that stupid festival. I was ready to show up by myself and say, Keren is not going. Don't try to make her come, because not gonna happen.
If anyone's ever seen the famous picture, Edvard Munch's The Scream, it's a picture of the man holding 2 hands to his face and screaming in his Saṃsāra of I'm pretty sure it details Edvard Munch's potentially psychosis or fears that he had or anxiety, but that's how I felt. I felt like I was standing on the bridges of Vienna or wherever that that picture is meant to be, and I had my hands on my cheeks and I was screaming like a,
oh my God,
I
just feel like
Gumby-like figure.
You referenced like 4 things that so many people like wouldn't understand,
Yes.
including me, like Saṃsāra,
Yes.
this guy painting name, it's the script Vienna, what is that? Like,
I don't know. I think I've mixed Van Gogh and Edvard Munch, and I just assume that all paintings by fabulously, brilliantly wounded artists must be set in Vienna. But anyway, you all know the picture. You might not know who Edvard Munch is, but he has the picture, The Scream, and that was me on Saturday morning after Good Friday, Easter, just screaming into the ether.
wow, and I was there to hear that.
You were there.
scream.
I'm really sorry. It came from a depth of my soul that I don't visit very often.
That's okay, but I think that I want to just rewind the night before for our Cancerian friend's wedding, because I just saw the most Cancerian thing ever happening when our friend, the bride, came to her own wedding, and we were there rehearsing for the song. And her first sentence that she whispered in your ear as she was giving you the hug, and I was behind watching, she just gave you a hug and whispered into your ear, "I'm not happy. I'm not happy." I was like, and then she just turned away from you and she was like, "Is that a very Cancerian thing to do?" And we were both like, yes, it's so Cancerian to show up to your wedding and be like, "I'm not happy." Like my makeup, my hair. Obviously, she was super happy. Like, what's more joyful for a Cancerian than starting a new home and a new family?
Yeah.
But it was so funny to me to see that, like, Cancerian peak behavior.
And it was so beautiful as well, because there was a huge Indian Bayer Marie of dal and curries and roti. We had several servings. And then for the Italian and Australians, there was an American barbecue truck. And
Yes.
everyone totally separated like all the Jews went to the Indian Bayer Marie.
Inhaling.
All the Italian, Australians and friends of the groom went to the American barbecue. And all the people that had come from India to celebrate went to the Indian Bayer Marie. So it was a beautiful wedding. Everyone was catered for. And at the end of the night, the Cancerian was so happy because she really just loves her partner and just wants to be in her Cancerian domestic bubble of bliss.
And then from then, obviously, the next morning, the horror of waking up.
Horrifying.
And then we made that trip. It's a 6 hours trip. And into this, land of freedom. And as you drive in, you have people so it's a nudity option festival. So some people are completely naked, some people are like half naked. And there is the cock shirting. Cock shirting is a look. It's guys that wear a button-up shirt or a shirt, and then no undies, no pants, and sneakers. So it's called cock shirt. It's very weird. You don't really understand why you chose these objects and whatnot. But I feel like if you look into it, it's very simple. They just want their cock to be out. Society teaches them to, since they're in age 0. Needless to say, I was fully clothed the whole time, and I don't regret it.
Yeah.
So as you enter, you are driving slowly, and there's all these people that either cock shirting or completely naked. They just tell you, "Welcome home," and they whisper it into your car, "Welcome home," and you're like, "What have I done? Why am I here?"
I felt like I was Sandra Bullock in her Netflix movie Bird Box. And when we arrived there, our car was all dusty, driving down this dusty path. And look, it wasn't even naked people that greeted us. It was just hot, French, backpackery, tanned people, scratching on the windows of the car, going, "Hi, welcome." And it's such a disorganized festival that every 10 meters that you drive in, someone is directing you somewhere. They don't need to have a task. And everyone that buys a ticket is supposed to do 2 hours of volunteer service to pay for an aspect of the ticket. Obviously, in the 6 years that I've been, I've never done it once. I'm sorry, confessed. But I do a lot of self-work when I'm there, so I feel like that's probably more than enough. But as soon as we got there, we drove up there, we got greeted by these, people that are being so happy and friendly. And I had entered into my own Saṃsāra, which, I've said this word often in the last few months, but Saṃsāra is I think it's a Buddhist term, and it is when we are in the bodily experience of life, we are stuck in our base desire needs. We are stuck in a cycle of, birth and death and birth and death, and we can't get out. And I felt like I was stuck in a never, never world. And I don't think it was a coincidence that it was during Passover. So this year, as a big controversy, me and other friends that we went to the festival with have tapped out of Passover. So we didn't go to first Seder, we didn't go to second Seder, which is our Passover big family event, which usually coincides with Easter. So amongst all of the naked, chilled people at the festival, there's also a smattering of the odd Jew every now and then who is sitting there munching on matzah bread, which is the Passover bread that we're traditionally meant to eat during this time. So you can spot them a mile away, but I think it was no coincidence that whilst we're celebrating slavery and liberation, in the 2 nights, I think it was, that I was at this festival, I feel like I went through not only the path of death and rebirth, but also slavery to freedom. Wow. I really went there. And Itai, look, as an outsider, I think you went there too.
Oh, I sure did.
Oh, you did.
And I want to say, a lot of people might be listening now and be like, oh, why are they bitching about it? Why did they go?
And I would say to them, like, hey, just chill out.
No, but it's true. Why do we go? Why we go to a naked option festival?
Suffer. Why do we have to suffer through everything?
But you know what? That's for another episode. Why do we need to suffer? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through my Saṃsāra as well. And I also want to say to those haters, I'm not done yet. I just want to say, I really believe in that sentence that was shown on the Girls TV show. And I think I mentioned it here a few times. It's like, this is your comfort zone and this is where the magic happens. So outside of your comfort zone. So I do believe that you should try and push yourself outside of your comfort zone as much as possible. What does it look like? It looks like different things to different people. For me, it's going to nature. And also, you know that Pisces is my north node. So I am heading towards enlightenment.
I don't think it's to be found at Confest.
And I know. So the thing about Confest is that the thing that I struggle with the most is the fake consent. So consent is something that's very close to my heart. As someone that really loves Hollywood, those kisses, those unasked for kisses that I grew up watching and thinking they're so romantic when someone just leans over and kisses you. And then growing up, realizing that there's so much to consent than just vibing it with the person. And also consent is not just sexual, it's just being in someone's space and doing something that feels comfortable to them. But in Confest, because people are naked and people do workshops and people are this vibe of I can reach out to people and talk to strangers and make friends, which is a beautiful concept and it's true. But I think people forget that we're still the same anxious people from Melbourne and Sydney and all around Australia and the world, just sitting there feeling anxious. And if you come and assume that I'm free and open, then it might not be good. For example, there's Rainbow Village. Rainbow Village is the camping area for the LGBT community. There's 99% white gays there, and then 1% of others. Others being literally anyone that isn't a white gay guy. So walking down Rainbow Village is like a minefield because it's everyone you ever hooked up with. It's everyone you see on Grindr every night and never messaged. It's people you messaged on Grindr that never answered to you. It's people that messaged you that you never answered. It's everyone. So I was jogging. Every time I went through Rainbow, I was jogging as if I'm running towards something. And then one time when I was jogging, I saw this guy that I hooked up with once. And he was with his friends. And they called me over and I jogged my way to them. They're like, oh, are you just going for a run? And I'm like, oh no, I'm just running somewhere to a specific, I was made a weird answer, started really badly. And then they all said, wow, you look really flustered. What's happening? And I was like, yeah, I am flustered. I just I just feel really, really flustered. And then the guy just put his hand on my belly. A guy I never met. Put his hand on my belly. And if you listen to this podcast one, you know I have some, body dysmorphia, lost weight, gained weight. Doesn't matter. I'm on my journey to love my body. But if you touch my belly, and you are my boyfriend or anyone, I would flinch and push you away. Okay? Like that's my gut, literally, reaction. And this guy just put his hand on my belly and he was like, let's breathe together.
Oh my God.
Inhale. And I was holding my belly so tightly, like I was like pushing it in. And he was like, inhale. But like I was inhaling, but my belly like didn't move because I was pushing it in so hard. And he was like waiting. And then like 6 seconds later, he's like, exhale. And I just like, my belly was just like same spot. Didn't move forward, didn't move backwards. And then he just gave up. And I was like, okay, bye, see you later. And I just continued running.
To jog out of the Rainbow Village.
So that whole idea of fake consent, people thinking in the name of, being liberated in nature, they can just put their hand on your body or,
Yeah, it's a festival that's stuck in the 60s. Like I think Confess has been around for a long time and it's been a free, loose festival, but they really haven't caught up with the time. So anyone can run a workshop there. So anyone that doesn't have any facilitation skills or knows how to create a safe space, but knows the language around talking about safe spaces. So I was told about a self-pleasure workshop, which a friend of mine went to, and the person running it said, anyone that wants to participate, you can't leave after this moment. So if you're going to participate in this experiential self-pleasure workshop, we're closing the doors, leave now or you're stuck. And I'm like, this is transgressing consent and safety 101. And I don't know why I'm surprised by some of these happenings. Like, it is one of the most odd, and anyone can run a workshop.
Anyone can
and they do.
Unfortunately. And I think there's also beautiful workshops and beautiful experiences
and beautiful
in Confess.
People.
Definitely. And I met some, still people that I met 3 years ago that are still in my life. They are beautiful people that I met in workshops. But still, I think just saying this is a safe space or just saying this is consent is not enough. Like you have to actually practice it and you have to actually ask, even if it's annoying and even if it looks weird asking people, can I put my hand on your belly? But let's be honest, if someone asks me that, I might say yes because I'm ready, because I know it's coming. But if someone doesn't, my gut reaction is to just push them away, and I won't do it because I don't want to look weird. But then I'm just left with all these weird feelings.
Oh my God, that's horrifying. I'm so sorry you had to experience that in the Rainbow Village.
That's okay.
As someone that's, camped next to the Rainbow Village for a couple of years, I've always enjoyed being able to walk so freely around that village because of the invisibility of women there. So, it actually is one of the few safe places for women in that festival. There's the Tantra Village, there's Permaculture Village, there's Tranquility Camp. We got yelled at this year at the Tranquility Camp for being too noisy because our friend Lauren has created a new underpants-related song, which I think is going to be a viral hit in Japan. But anyway, speaking of safe spaces and lack thereof at Confest, I would have to say, though, I managed to find an amazing safe space there. And I think as soon as I found this space, my own... well, you can call it anxiety, you can call it Saṃsāra, you can call it personality issues, whatever it is. My challenging experience of being stuck in a desert abyss with no exits and bodies and wangs everywhere, my safe place was the cafe. Oh. The cafe. So there was a cafe there which... and I loved it because there are structures, there are norms, and there are societal expectations. So yeah, someone might be naked or clothed or having deep chats about, the energy of their guru and going to Bali to do yoga teacher training. But amongst all of that fodder, there is certain societal expectations that I know I can adhere to and I feel safe in that structure. So I go in the line, I order my coffee, I sit at a table, the coffee is given to me, And there is something very stabilizing for me about that experience. Like, there wasn't any Wi-Fi or internet there. Probably that was for the best. But I like that permission to have a chat with a coffee. For me, I'm constantly working towards experiences of coffees and chats in different scenarios.
You always say, I'm a coffee and
I'm a coffee and a chat girl. You know, some people are like, let's go Latin dancing tonight, gal. Or like, let's go, I'm going to read your horoscope now. And let's go have a pillow talk. Yeah, let's go hiking and camping over the weekend. I'm not that. I'm a coffee and chat gal. And that was my comfort zone, but I actually found a lot of magic there. So I know that stepping outside of that, where we feel comfortable, is very important. However, I don't think people should be suffering for the sake of suffering.
My favorite was when one of our many visits to the cafe, when I was just like watching you from probably like a meter away, and you were sitting there and someone was lecturing you about investing in Bitcoin.
Oh my God, that was, look, to be in his defense, I really did ask for it. This man, he was talking about things like income streams and how he has lots of different income streams so he can sail on his yacht for 6 months of the year. And I was very fascinated by this concept. And Itai, you were spoken for at that time, being cradled by your Gemini boyfriend. So I know that I have to make myself scarce.
He is a Gemini, but I would like us to refer him as my French boyfriend.
Your French boyfriend,
because
sorry.
Geminis, people give them a bad rap, but French.
He's French and he's Gemini.
It's
he's
true.
Many things. And, there was a lot of cradling of you, which was really beautiful to observe. But when you were being cradled, I was talking to a guy about income streams, and apparently I needed to buy Bitcoin. And I didn't even have internet on my phone to go and purchase Bitcoin.
I know, but you know what? And then you said something that he told you about. You have to have
an active sale. Every time you need to have an active sale on Gumtree.
So I put my smoke machine on Marketplace, on Facebook Marketplace, and I sold it yesterday for $20.
He also said, first things first, I need to go to markets and see what the price point is for things, and then buy 100 plants, terrariums. No, what's the other plants that don't die? Succulents.
Okay.
Get some succulents and then flip them. He was just 40 minutes of amazing, amazing ways to make money. I told him I don't really care about making money, and that might be where we disagree. But yeah, I'm a Bitcoin. I couldn't get a word in. I couldn't escape, but I also didn't want to. Much like you being cradled.
Oh my God. Well, I have a tendency to just, in relationships, lose myself to everything that the other person needs. And even though I will say my French boyfriend is not that kind of person that just wants you to do whatever they want, and I really think I will defend Geminis to the grave after living with you for 3 years and being in a relationship with my French Gemini boyfriend.
And I think to the grave is enough.
A
lot of people don't survive our brains and our personalities.
Yeah, but something that he does like to do is cuddling and cradling. So I was cradled for quite a lot of the time during Confess.
There was a beautiful cycle that was happening. I mean, it felt like we were there for 3 weeks, to be honest. We were there for 2 days or something like that. But you would get separated from him, and then you'd find each other again. And then he would cradle you, and then you'd be like, bye. And then you'd walk into the ether, into the distance, and then you would come back to the tent 10 hours later.
And my biggest fear, and I think maybe some people can relate to it, is, when you're like in a relationship and you, like, suddenly everyone you ever known means nothing to you.
Yeah.
And just this person you met a day ago or a week ago or a month ago.
They are everything.
Yeah, they're everything. And then, like, your best friends, the friends that, like, picked you up and and punched you down at sometimes, like, they suddenly don't matter.
But that's the beauty of good friendships, and I kept trying to remind you this, like, we are the dirty rags that will be there through thick and thin. You don't need to give us attention at these things. You need to then give yourself your full personality, body and soul to the new person.
But that's the thing, and then that's, I think, when natal charts, when astrology charts come to life, because you see all these different energies pulling each other. So I have my Aries, which is like, don't want to be tamed. I want to always do the most fun thing. every second I'm at the campsite, I feel like I'm missing out. Every second I'm at home, I feel like I'm missing out on life. And then I have my Virgo moon, which is very like, I want to please, I want things to be in order, I want to, and then I have other things like my Mercury Pisces. I want to go to a sonic bath. I want to go to a meditation. I want to do yoga. Anyway, in Confessed, I feel like it's really came up for me, like, I want to experience my friends. I want to be with my friends, but I also want to be with that guy that I really like, and I want to spend time with him, and I want to experience things with him. So I found myself many times just like pulling in between. That's why the moment in a cafe when I was cradled while watching you being lectured about Bitcoin, it was like the ultimate. I was like being your friend, but also I was being cradled. It was synergy.
And in the cafe.
And like, having a cafe.
It was all of the needs being met at once.
Yeah. Astrology also played a big role for us in Confessed, being while the full moon was in the sky beautifully, the full moon in Libra.
Yes, it was a big one. I hate to break it to all the listeners out there, but you're all pregnant. Libra, like people forget that Libra, whilst it's about sensuality and relationships, it's a fertility sign as well. So it was a very fertile full moon, and it was the second full moon in the sign of Libra for the year in a row. So I feel like people, everyone's pregnant.
Congratulations, Mazel Tov.
Absolutely.
So if it's a Libra, wait, so what's the star sign of the kid if now it's April, 9 months from now?
Oh, what is it?
What are numbers? I don't know. 4 plus 9? I don't know. It's one of the 12. Well, it's definitely not Taurus because Taurus is 12.
September.
We're calculating it.
October.
Would you listen to me telling you, okay, let's do this. While you're calculating.
I think it's a Capricorn or an Capricorn?
I guess. Okay. Well, good luck. Good luck for all of us. I also liked when we were camping with 15 other people. Like everyone brought a friend, everyone brought people, and in order to get to know everyone, we said, everyone say your name and your star sign and a talent, which I love a good icebreaker.
Hate icebreakers.
Love a good icebreaker. I would think of something more creative than
Why break ice? Why not use ice to protect yourself?
Because it's important to make relationship and people. So one of the guys there that was really traditionally good looking and high achieving and had like a fancy job.
I thought he was lost. When he walked towards our campsite, I was like, this guy's lost. What's he doing here? Yeah, and I'm like, oh, he's camping with us. That's nice.
It always looked like he's about to like say, guys, I have a Skype meeting. I'll see you soon. And like take his his satellite phone and like go on a Skype meeting. But he really taught me a good lesson. Because I realized, and we often talk about it, and he was a Sagittarius, how some people, when we meet them, we want to please them, or we want to like cater to them. And usually they would be good looking, usually they'll be like a guy, they'll be like high achieving, they'll be white probably. And this guy, I was like so trying to, I wanted him to like me, and he was straight, but he kept saying, oh, I wouldn't mind trying it with a guy. And like everyone was so excited by it, and everyone was like, oh my god, look at this straight guy that like is willing to give a gay guy the chance to suck his dick, as if it's like the how do you call it, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, the Messiah.
And it made me think about a few things. One, there's really this trend of straight guys trying to be woke and like open about their sexuality, but instead of saying like, I want to try having sex with a guy, or I want to try having sex with people that are not like female, for example, basically all they want is a blowjob from some other mouth that isn't the mouth that they usually get their blowjobs from. And I just want to call them out on that and say, if you're a guy that like is woke and want to experience something new, ask yourself, what do you want to experience and why? And do you think it will maybe get you laid more if you say that? Secondly,
You really thought a lot about it.
oh, I got a bone to pick because that guy, and we're talking about the fake consent again, offered one of the other guys Coke. And when the other guy said, no, I don't want Coke, he said, don't be a pussy. Which is like, I'm like, how you are this like progressive, woke, curious guy, and you trying to convince someone to take Coke by telling them don't be a pussy.
Also, it's a very odd drug to bring to a hippie, quiet camping festival, but that's okay.
But then the person that I was judging the most in that situation was actually me and not him, because still knowing all of those things, I still cared that he's like, that he likes me or that he's comfortable.
I think because he did the hand squeeze thing, when like big, tall bros put their hands on your shoulder and they're like, yeah, buddy, and they could be saying like, anything, like I just stole your car and, I slashed the tires, and they've got your hand on your shoulder and you're like, okay, I feel this. And it's very, persuasive.
Exactly. It's like using his looks and his like power to just minimize you. And
We melt
because that's, we've been trained, and also he was hot. But he literally, and I would notice he didn't put his hand on the straight guys. He didn't squeeze their shoulders. He did that to the gay guys that the night before he was like telling how open he is, and we were all like making jokes about like, if you want something, like you can come to my tent and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, even I'm seeing his behavior, I'm seeing everything, and I'm still playing this role for that guy to feel comfortable, because still it's so upsetting and it's so annoying. But I've learned my lesson. Will it happen again? Probably yes, but hopefully one day I will scream at this guy and say, I will never give you a blowjob. But if you want, just let me know.
Cross that bridge when and if it happens. Fascinating man, fascinating collection of beautiful souls that we got to camp with. I think the balance of the very anxious, outgoing, chatty, communicative Jewish people with some other people was fascinating to behold.
Yeah, we are a very anxious group, as we often say. I also want to say I'm not blaming any star sign for any abusive behavior, but
it's shared.
Like we're all shit in our way, and we're all beautiful in our way.
I think my favorite moment as well was when we were chatting to this new guy that we had all just met whilst walking to the chai tent, and I think at one stage someone introduced you as our friend's gay husband, and then we're like, no, but she's actually got a real fiance and that's her actual engaged person. And everyone's like, oh, what? Who are you people? And how do you connect? And it was quite beautiful. Can I ask you, Ty, like, did you actually do one workshop? I mean, it sounds like you were doing a lot of self-exploration and work around your self-concept and identity, but did you do any shady, amazing workshops this year?
So this year I actually didn't do any.
You and your boyfriend could have run like a cradling workshop.
I know.
Like how to cradle your lover. Like a baby.
I didn't do any workshop this year. Usually I'm all about the workshops. I'm like, I disappear at 9 a.m. and I come back at midnight at sunset after doing like 6 different workshops. In previous years, I did a workshop where these people like take Jesus energy and they put it into you, which was incredible. I really felt like I was like, Christians, I know what you're all about.
Wow.
I just felt so happy.
It sounds like every Pentecostal
and
church Sunday, to be honest.
To clarify, like I take 0 drugs on festivals and in life.
In life, yeah.
I'm too anxious for that shit. Yeah. So that Jesus experience was fully Jesus related. And one workshop that I did in the past was the kissing workshop, which is, I think, the biggest step outside of my comfort zone that I ever done, which was kissing like 50 strangers in the same, like it's a 3-hour workshop, and you start by kissing on the cheek and kissing like Eskimo kiss and
Was it stinky?
It was very stinky. There's no showers there. Like there's like a steam room and a river. It was very stinky, and it was striving for consent. So people would ask you before, obviously, how much is your ability to give a proper consent in that situation? We can talk about, but people ask. And it was beautiful because it was like people that I usually wouldn't kiss. Like there was like a 60-year-old woman there. There was women in general. There was, people that are not my go-to.
And yet I've seen you kiss more women
It's true.
than men, I must say.
So it was very interesting, and I was very terrified. And I remember coming back from that workshop and I like dropping it in every 2 minutes. Like, oh, did I mention I kissed 50 people today? I'm such a progressive, experimental person. Yeah, so I've done my fair share. Have you done any interesting workshops?
Look, I didn't do one workshop this year because I was in a Saṃsāra cycle of self-sabotage, and I just couldn't. I was doing too much self-work that I couldn't actually go to a dysregulated workshop run by false messiahs and prophets. I feel like I've got my own religion that I don't follow. I don't need to go to other people that claim they can heal me. And also, if I don't pay $80 for something, then it's not real healing for me. Like, if someone's going to teach me something, I think it should be at that $70, $80 price point, to be honest. But I have done some in the past. So a couple of years ago, I did the erotic storytelling workshop, because I don't consider myself the most erotic person, but I do like to chat and tell stories from time to time. Again, it was another pseudo-safe, dysregulated workshop. We were lying in a circle blindfolded. And the idea was that one person would tell a story kind of anonymously. It can be made up or it can be real. And you tell it as if it's happening. So I'm walking towards my, dark head. I'm just saying that because Itai is staring at me and dark eyebrows. But yeah, you say your story, you're blindfolded, and then you take your blindfold off, and then you kind of hand over you tap someone on the shoulder, and that means it's their time to tell the next story.
Wow.
So because it wasn't run in the most regulated way, and I was doing it with my hot lawyer friend who's like blonde and very, pretty and friendly and smiley, and so she kept repetitively getting tapped on the shoulder, and she had the option to pass, so she kept passing, and I was like, no one is tapping me on the shoulder. I feel very excluded. I kept waiting for like 30 minutes for that anxious chance to tell some story that I wasn't sure what it would be. And then a friend of mine did tell her story, and it was super hot and super great. Again, it was all meant to be anonymous and blindfolded and safe. When we took our blindfolds off because the session had ended, we all could see that there was about 15 people watching us getting in line for the next workshop after us. So again, confessed, best of times, and the worst of times. I've said it many times. That is the only way that I can describe this festival.
What would be your story if you got a chance to tell it?
I didn't have one. I just knew
this
I would.
This is a safe space.
No.
No one will hear
Nowhere
it.
is safe. I mean, look, get me into a cafe, dim the lights, and I'll tell you a thing or two. Because I've seen some shit.
I'm in my bed. I'm waking up. I'm screaming. Don't want to go to this festival. I'm entering my Saṃsāra.
I'm sleeping in socks because my room is cold.
Anyway, what was the topic again?
Yeah, I'm happy to do. We can do an explicit, X-rated, erotic podcast once.
Yeah.
I find silence to be both terrifying and also quite erotic. So it might just be a blank recording of me breathing onto the microphone for 30 minutes. ASMR, exactly. But I think amongst all of the stuff that we can talk about from this very seismic, impactful festival, let's go back to the beginning. We both started and entered this festival with expectations, with potentially a bit of fear about what it was going to be like. I know that you were going there thinking, will I spend time with this guy that I've been connecting with, your Frenchie, and how will I balance that with my Aries need for freedom and autonomy and my Virgo need to spend equal amounts of time with friends and lovers and to have the best time. I was going into the festival with a lot of baggage around Confest, a lot of dismay that I had agreed to go again, seemingly against my will. And a fear about how I would feel in such a dysregulated, full-on and alternate universe. So I'm curious, Itai, how did you find the ending of Confessed as opposed to how you entered it? Have you taken anything from it? Have you learnt anything?
Wow, so much. Every time. And I think that at the end of the day, that's why I keep going and seeking these experiences, because you do end up learning. I think what I learned the most was my intention from before the festival, and it was like to judge myself less. I know I just described how I judged myself with that whole experience with the Sagittarius, drug pushing, curious guy. Yeah, but other than that, like the whole experience with my lover and my friends, I really tried to not judge and not try to be perfect, and to realize, okay, I might miss out on this afternoon with my friends, but I will not miss out on the silent disco with my friends, you know? And instead of, you know, when you make a choice and then you find yourself, let's say, in a tent with someone that you don't want to be with, and you're not only you're there and you don't want to be there, you also in your head judging yourself for doing it. So it's like a double mistake. It's like, why am I doing this? But you still end up doing it.
Yeah, it's the first punch and the second punch.
Yeah, so I'm like, if you're already going to do it, don't spend the time there thinking I should be somewhere else. And I know it's easier said than done, but I was making sure that I'm pushing towards it, and I think it really made a difference for me. What about you?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of learnings from that first moment at about 6:55 a.m. before I was meant to leave the house, and I was in my bed, unpacked and screaming from my room. I think at the end of the festival, I definitely learnt to be a bit more compassionate about myself, and that it's absolutely okay to not be totally into everything, and not to then, as you're saying, like not to bash yourself up for not wanting to go for a 1 a.m. steam in the river naked, or to not want to go to a workshop, or to not feel like you're having the best time when everyone around you is wanting to have the best time. Like, I think for me, sometimes saying no allows me to say yes more, and knowing that I enjoy going to and having a coffee, and I do love nature, but sometimes I like being warm, and sometimes I do go into a spiral of feeling different and separate. And every time I finish these festivals and I see photos of myself afterwards, I then seem to remember that whole time I was also just a human being amongst all these human beings, and I look exactly the same as everyone else, and I'm just some person going through some private internal monologue that everyone is experiencing to different degrees, and to be a bit more accommodating of that. I don't know if I'll go again or not. Every year I say no and then I say yes, and I'm actually totally cool with that. And I think I also was trying to remember that because other people are also experiencing their peaks and troughs and roller coaster of emotions in this weird ass festival, you might not be able to be there for yourself, but you can certainly be there for others. And I found it really, really nice to just be there to bear witness to other people that might have been going through a tough time. When surrounded by a lot of happiness and joy and freedom and looseness, that's when you can feel more conservative or weird or different. So I think changing expectations, being a bit nice to yourself, and being cool with knowing what you love and maybe what's not so much your jam. Like, it's okay to be in different comfort zones and to stretch yourself, and sometimes to not stretch yourself.
Definitely. And, you know, it's all, in the end of the day, a journey to end, or maybe ease our Saṃsāra. Yes,
and we did get some good Instagram posts and snaps.
So many.
So, yeah.
So, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Astrology Roast. We hope you learned. We hope you maybe step outside of your comfort zone. Share with us on the Insta if you have any stories that we should share on this podcast anonymously and, what's the word? In a safe manner.
And for anyone that's listening from ASIO or Mossad or the KGB, all the references to any sexual practices or substance use is purely fictional and based on not real characters.
Stories we heard from cool people that did this.
Everyone was safe and legal and doing things by the book,
Definitely.
by the Bible.
See you next week on Astrology Roast.